Okay, recording. So if you're watching the recording, welcome. Hope you're able to enjoy and catch up.
Random text. That's different away from the financial insider discussion group.
All right, sounds like a scam.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Should I just join the chat just so
Yeah, you should delete it. All right. So, dear students, just getting used to being on camera. All right, this is a short presentation that's going to take probably one or two, maybe three lessons as part of our advanced business class. And we'll see how we go. So, bit of a disclaimer. I don't know everything there is to know on this topic. I've been researching it very heavily the last 6 months, a bit less than that, including a bunch of books, which I'll show you next. I'll give you resources to research that more if you want. But it's a topic that I wouldn't consider myself an expert in yet necessarily. So buying a business, let's touch on the introduction. Let's start with an introduction of it. Let's start with why. I believe that any topic, that's actually one of our first points, any topic, when I teach my investing classes, I always start with why. It's actually a very good book on life called Start With Why. That's the title of the book, and it explains when you do things, you should know why. So why are we talking about this? Why is it an interesting idea? Let's say a lot of people want to go into business. So we're sitting in a room here of Jewish people, and we're sitting in LA, right? Let's say you're going to live in LA, very expensive city. Let's say you're going to be Jewish religious, have a bunch of kids, the whole shebang. You want to make more money than a traditional career. So if any of us went to college and said, I want to be an accountant, I want to be maybe a lawyer could make more, but even a doctor, these will take a few years.
6 years, 400K a year.
Well, that's pretty ambitious. Most general careers are going to top out at 100 to 150. And if in LA or New York, maybe 200K. I'm not talking about being a trader for a hedge fund where you're so good that you can make more. But I'm saying most careers are going to top out of that. Now, that's fine if you're a guy or you don't necessarily live in a very expensive city, or if you have two people working. But let's say you're Jewish and your spouse is taking care of kids and also a career. And Jews need to make 200,000 to 300,000 plus in a high cost of living area. The only real way you're going to do that is with a business, some type of business where you have the higher potential. One of the only ways would be to do it with the business. Another way to do that would be through sales. Any type of sales doesn't mean everyone can do it, and it's a lot of hard work, but it also has that sort of like unlimited, has that like unlimited upside. There's no free lunches, so the unlimited upside comes with very often you're not going to get any salary if you do a sales job. So if you don't sell anything, whatever it is, it could be pens, it could be apartments, it could be anything, you're usually not going to get a salary. So that's the downside to it. Okay, but a lot of people like to go into business, especially entrepreneurial. You can achieve a lot of things in business that you can't do any other way. And a lot of people think I want to start a business, what everyone thinks, right? Well, sorry to be the negative guy in the room, especially contradicting a few other classes who may even have jets, but frankly, it's very, very hard. The success rate for startups is not very high. It depends on how you define it. It's really not that high. Buying an existing business, if you think about it, is much safer. It's proven. It's been there. We're not talking about a business that's a year old, 2 years old. We're talking about one that has a good few years of a track record. You'll be able to see that track record in terms of due diligence, as we hopefully will discuss later on. And at least you've done something that's proven the market's there. You can do, Benjamin, if you don't mind paying attention.
Success rate of business.
It's not worth it. You get distracted. There's no exact statistic, but you can do all the research in the world on your new falafel flavor, on your new business venture. There's no greater proof in the world than actual sales. So if you have a business that's been around for a few years, you can pretty much assume that it's been making money for the owner. Otherwise, why would they continue doing it? A large amount of startups fail. And even if, again, sorry to burst on the entrepreneurship party, sorry to be the party pooper, but even if it does start up, you start a company that does who knows what, it's great. It could take a good few years. I mean, 3 to 5 years before you actually get a paycheck. That's very difficult if you need to make money. Yeah, if it's one thing if you're younger, but if you really want to start making money, a business may take a few years and may have nothing to show for it. Yeah.
So you're saying if someone's, let's say, an electrician who's been an electrician for a couple of years, instead of starting a business.
So we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. Next slide. Now, if you have a startup, you really have two jobs. The business and you also have, you're always raising cash. I have a relative of mine who's started some type of oil exploration business, and he really has two jobs. And I know this for a fact. He has a partner that sort of manages the day to day, but you also have to deal with investors, calling investors always for more money, because you need more money as your business grows and grows until it becomes profitable, which can take a few years. Before we continue, this is some of the books that I've read, and I would recommend if you're interested. There's a very good book called Buy Then Build by a person who's sort of done this quite a few times. I believe he bought 7 businesses, and it's an excellent book on this. It's called Buy Then Build. He makes a very good case and gives you a lot of information on how to do it, walks you through. I happen to have the book, so if you want, you can maybe borrow it. I can show it to you. He makes a very good case on why buying is better than starting up. This is a bit more dry. It's very similar. HBR stands for Harvard Business Review Guide to Buying a Business. This book, which I haven't finished yet, but I've started. It's called How to Buy a Business Without Getting Had. And based on what I can see, I can recommend it. Let's talk about the website. So there's brokerages websites, which I'll show you. So, sorry, I made a mistake. That's not Buy Then Build. It's Biz Buy Sell. So just like with real estate, you have Zillow and you have Redfin, right? You guys have heard of those for real estate listings. You have some, and the main one is going to be Biz Buy Sell. Let me show you. Okay. So, and let's move this. Thank you. Okay, now I want to give me a second because I'm recording this. I want to share my screen. Okay, hopefully that works. So Biz Buy Sell is a company, is not a company, sorry, is a brokerage website that has different, so if we just search California, you're going to see everything. And this is usually where people get overwhelmed. Everything from restaurants to anything and everything you can think of. Now, you can search it by category. So let's say I want to do, I don't know, laundromats.
Are there a lot of scams on here?
No, I wouldn't say that there's scams. It might be things that you need to look into more. So here we have some laundromats, Surland, different places.
I could assume that someone who has a deteriorating business would want to put it here before.
That's one of the reasons that you might want to sell, but there's many other reasons that a person might want to sell. It's probably one of the most common questions that are asked. And there's many valid reasons why someone would want to sell the business. They're retiring, moving out of state, they just got too much on their hands. Some of these people have 4 or 5 of these. They just, a new opportunity came up, they're bored, they've done the same thing for 20 years.
Also, what's the cash flow is based
So we're going to talk about that. Hopefully, we will get to that. So
This one over here to try to stay busy.
now, each of these is really listed by a broker. Okay, so if you click into this, if you're going to do some research on these, what you would really do, and that's what I've done, you'd really click on who's selling it. So it's this guy, Wasim Rahman of this company, and then you can do view my listings. And usually they'll have a website. So just to show you, I have some bookmarks here, brokers. So this is the website of an actual brokerage company that's buying and selling businesses. Let me show you. There's one that I was looking at that had a bunch of laundromats. This is a gas station broker. Where did I put it? Sorry about this. Maybe it was this one. It might not be the right website, but the point is you use that Biz Buy Sell to see what's available. And then so let's see if there's any in California. Might be the wrong website I'm showing you. Okay, so these are the brokers. This broker is actually selling these type of things. A medical device company. Now, most people, once they ask the first initial questions of why would someone be selling, why are you buying, all that, like what Mr. Niaz asked, they're gonna say what type. If a layperson just goes to Biz Buy Sell, they're gonna look through things and get overwhelmed. What do I do? What do I buy? What type of business? Right? So that's where our next discussion goes to. Slide. Okay, hopefully the screen shares of this. So this is a big topic. You could talk about this for ages. I'm just going to try to condense it. So in the book, Buy Then Build, which I believe is pretty much the best one. I can show it to you guys. I don't happen to have it here, but maybe next time I can try to bring it in. It says there's a few different types of business. And it really depends on your personality. Think of it very similar to a career, right? Should I be a plumber or should I be an accountant? What are you gonna answer that? Okay, what's your personality? Do you like to drive around all day, listen to Mexican music? Not to be, but or do you like to sit and do numbers? What's your personality? There's not better or worse, right? Heshi, what's a better job, a painter or a CEO? Depends who you are. CEO, I mean, I'm happy to use extreme examples. CEO is someone who has extremely high work ethic. Most people cannot do it, or a manager. Not everyone could be a manager. Some people want to be, they want to be a painter, but some people need more money. Some people it doesn't do it for them. Same thing with the business. So let's say I'll give you an example. For me personally, my personality type, and I recognize this and it helps me a lot in life through jobs, through entrepreneurship, through business. The more you know yourself, I'll just give you a general idea. The more you know yourself, the better life becomes. The better you know if an opportunity is right for you. The better you know if a job or a relationship is right for you. So I know about myself that I like things very dependable, where I know the numbers. I don't like risky or maybe. I don't like bets and that type of stuff like that. So that's my personality. Now you, someone else may be completely different. I totally respect that. So for me, what would I get into? Something that's very predictable, that's very safe. I want to be able to sleep well at night. So I would do something that's very, very safe, predictable. It's you can sleep well at night. It's a need. What are some of the examples? Well, take a look. Laundromat, car wash, gas station. You don't think about these, but the things people need, right? You need gas. You don't fill up gas, your car's not gonna go. Car wash, people use them. It's simple. These businesses exist, and they really do make money. Laundromat, I mean, and think about during a recession. Yeah, what do you guys think is the first businesses to go when money's tight? People don't have so much money. Entertainment, travel, right? So you have to know that. If you're gonna buy a company that sells cruises, yeah, what's gonna happen as soon as the economy goes down? People start losing their jobs. You are SOTL. Is that how it works? SOOL, out of luck, whatever. That's the first thing to go. You know what the last thing to go is? Washing your clothes, because people don't want to be smelly even if they're making a bit less money, right? That's how the recessions work. So there's good times and there's bad times. In 2008 to 2012 was bad times. So a laundromat would have maybe had 10% less customers, 15%. I don't know, people would have worn their clothes one more time, but a travel business or a cruise business was done. You're kaput for a few years. However, what's the downside? Say with me, they can be very boring. Okay, so some people it's not going to work for that. It could be, yeah, very could be making a lot more money. Some of these small businesses, you'd be surprised how much they could make because it's a need. Have to go.
More than a lot of money one, no?
Correct. But some people want the adventure. I'll give an example. Let's say someone else that works at the school. Let's say you guys know and love him, Matt, right? You guys know who that is by now? Good. He would never touch these because it's too boring for him. Because again, his personality, right? He needs the adventure, the growth, the entrepreneurship, the journey, the struggle. Stuff is too boring for him. It's like watching sand get washed away by the waves. Too boring. So that type of person might want to buy something that can be scaled. Scaled is a word that's thrown around also. Scale just means grow. For example, you might have a marketing company that currently has 4 customers. It's a tiny little customer, 4 customers. You could double that and triple that a lot easier than a gas station. It's not very easy to grow a gas station. How are you going to grow it? The same amount of people live in that area, or same thing with a car wash or a laundromat. A laundromat is not good if you want growth. So some people want to buy a business and they want to grow it. They have a 3-year plan. They want to double the business. That's not going to work really very well if you have a laundromat, unless in a very rare situation. But there are businesses that are very scalable. Okay. All right. I'm doing a class over here, so thank you. Okay, let's continue. That's in terms of just straight up buying one. Okay. And before I go forward, you don't have to do this starting off. It doesn't have to be your first thing you do. There's many, many people who do this mid-career. They decide, I've had enough of corporate America. There could be people in the 20s, in the 30s, in the 40s, in the 50s. So this doesn't have to be something you do straight away. Now, just take your question. Go ahead.
Can you buy a business and then have someone run it for you, so you never have to worry about it?
Yes. Okay, it doesn't mean it's as simple as just signing a few lanes, but yes, the answer, that's what this book makes the case to do. Don't buy it to run it day to day, buy it and hire out as much as daily responsibilities as you can, including doing the manager.
When you buy one of these businesses that open for like what, 5 to 8
Could be
years,
even longer than that, yeah.
even more.
Mhm.
What changes when you buy it?
Hopefully nothing. So if you don't want nothing, maybe I just want to buy a laundromat. I want nothing to change. It's cash is coming in,
What
everything's good.
that requires you to work too?
So it depends. Every situation could be different. Sometimes you'll need to be the manager. Sometimes you'll hire out a manager. Sometimes you'll hire one to grow. Sometimes you'll see an opportunity where it's not being maintained and you know you can make it a lot better, a lot leaner, a lot more efficient. So it all depends. Now, maybe you're early to mid-career. You're in your 20s, you're in your 30s, you're in your early 40s, and you happen to work in technology. Now, you might then want to buy a tech company because you know you can do it. This is why I've been talking to you guys about it kind of privately. You're a contractor. So let's say you've been a plumber, you've been an electrician, you've been for a few years, and you know how to do it. You know how to talk to customers. You know how to send an invoice because you've been trained. When you work for someone else for 5 years as an electrician, you're getting free training on how to. You're not getting free training, but you're learning the ropes. Now you're getting paid, maybe not as much because you're working for him. He has overhead, right? So what do you want to do? Let's say you want to make more money. So, but you are back to square one. Do you go and start your own electrical company? Well, let's see. Then you have to make a logo, a website. You have to get a truck. You have to get insurance. You have to call this guy for insurance. You got to do this. You need money. You're gonna have to go and fundraise. And you may know who says you'll be successful. Who says you'll have customers? Your boss has customers because he has been in the industry for years. He knows people. He's 50, 60-year-old. Who says you'll have customers? You might not do so well. Or you can do something better, which is, let's say you're a plumber. Let's take a look at plumbing businesses in California. So there's a showroom remodel business, locally owned, operated 30+ year plumbing and heating business for sale for $310,000. Affordable plumbing, right? That might be a franchise actually. I could show it to you a little later. Plumbing company in Orange County. Okay. Somis. Well established. That means, what are you going to get when you buy these businesses? You're going to get customers. Now, it doesn't mean every single customer is going to keep going to you, but most likely, most of those customers will stay. You have contacts, hundreds of, maybe even thousands of contacts. Getting a vehicle which is painted, Eddie's Plumbing, whatever the hell it's called. You don't have to do that. It literally is like a shortcut. Day one, you are in business. You get a website. You get insurance taken care of. You get legal permits. These permits for some of these things could be crazy. You get tools. You get a ladder. You get equipment. So much more. And that could be a much bigger, better way than just starting on your own. Yeah.
Recently, what do you call it? The company my father works in was bought out by a company that buys companies.
Yeah, we're about to talk about that next.
They just implemented some stuff, but everything's the same. Like everything's.
So we're about to talk about that next. But here's the catch. You want to do something you understand. If you've been a trucker for 5 years, you can potentially buy a trucking company with 3 trucks, and you have to also have a head for logistics. And again, it's going to be your personality. It's one thing to drive a truck. It's very different than to run a trucking company. And by the way, that's what the E-Myth also is a big point of. Just because you have the brain to know how to bake cakes and bake cookies doesn't mean you know how to run a bakery. So you have to be honest. What is your personality? Not everyone can run a business. A lot of skills that not everyone has. Temperaments that not everyone has. So if you've been in the trucking industry, maybe you'll buy a truck. Maybe if you've been in the technology, maybe you want to buy a tech. But just because you have been a plumber, don't go buy it. I'm not saying for sure, maybe there is a case, but 95% of the time, don't go buy a nursing home because you don't know nothing about that. You don't know how to bill Medicare. You don't know how to deal with the government. You don't know how to, right? So those are the factors. Do you understand the business, right? And does it fit your personality? Now, if you're talking about laundromat, car wash, if you have an IQ over, 95, then you're going to be able to understand it. It's not that hard. Those are very, very simple. But it's something like, here, look, let's do technology, right? Excuse me. Let's see, online and technology. Let's see. Employment screening company. Affiliate marketing. It's all like marketing. Music tech SaaS company. If you don't understand these, then be very careful before you rush into this. Make sure you both understand it and it fits your personality type in general. Okay, let's continue. So I was speaking to a friend of mine. He was a shliach a few years ago. He's Shaw Friedman, if any of you remember. And he told me that his dad works, or he had somehow got into party planning businesses, and he says that he went and bought up other ones to make yourself bigger. And frankly speaking, this is what the biggest brands in the world do. Unilever is a company that owns tons of brands, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, all these huge ones they acquire. They do, it's called mergers and acquisitions. So you might own a landscaping business and just buy out another. Boom, you merge them together, you just double the amount of money you make. And you already understand that. Well, exactly. You merge them and put them under one umbrella. It wouldn't be maybe as smart if you have a landscaping to go and buy a HVAC company, air conditioning company, because what do you know about that? Now you have two different headaches on your head. So that's just a very short summary of different ways to go. So yeah, go ahead.
So you need to have a good knowledge in the company you want to acquire.
You should. Again, if it's a laundromat, then most people can understand how to run it within a few days. Also, the seller, if you buy one for about between a month and 3 months, they'll train you. Right now, if it's a laundromat, you probably could be trained in 2 weeks. This is how you collect the coins. That's how you pay the employee. Whatever. I'm not trying to minimize it, but it's not going to be too hard to explain it. You'll write it. You'll take notes. You write a manual. Done. If it's a technology company, you should be in that field. If all you did in your life, if you're 30 years old and you've run for 5-6 years a great lawn mowing company, now you're going to go buy a technology company. It's not very smart. What do you know about technology? You don't know anything about technology. You may know about how to run a business, right? At the back, Mr. Benjamin, you're with us. But you should generally stick with your lane. So how does this compare with buying real estate, right? Why not just buy real estate? Give me just a second to see all the time. I just want to repeat a few small points over here.
You buy real estate companies.
You
buy real estate companies.
That's true. You don't have to do it straight away. It's point one. You can definitely, it's going to be very difficult to do it straight away, and I'll explain why. You should learn about yourself, what you really want, in terms of what type of business to buy. In the book, Buy Them Build, he does 4 types of businesses. One is just very safe, that runs on by itself, like a laundromat, car wash thing. Another one is called a turnaround, where the business has not been doing very well. His advice and my advice, from the best that I know, is don't touch that. If the business has been failing, don't think you're the one who's going to fix it up, unless you really, really have a lot of experience with it. There's some people that fix up companies. If it's your first time or your second time or your third time, don't buy a business that's heading downhill thinking you're going to fix it up, because it's extremely difficult to do. The third type is one that it's doing okay, but you want to grow it. You have to know that's a lot harder. It's going to take a lot of money. So you have to know if that's for you. I can't remember what that fourth one is. And again, stick to what you know. Don't do a business that you have no idea about. If all you've done is mowing grass, so to speak, don't go buy a technology company. If you've been in technology where you're selling phone, if you've owned a phone repair store, don't buy a nursing home, because one is $200 things to customers. One is billing the government for $10,000 with forms and knowing how to do it and legal up the wazoo. Just try to stick with your lane. Okay. There's also merging, and there's also, if you want to be a contractor or a physical work with your hands, can you get involved in this? The answer is yes. You can be a plumber, work with someone for 5 years, few years, learn the ropes, be an electrician, be HVAC, and then that'll give you confidence to go out and maybe buy a small little business, jump starting your gap. You'll have the customers, you'll have all the equipment, you'll have all that stuff. Okay, buying a business versus buying real estate. Buying a business is much cheaper. Okay, now why? There's a couple of reasons. It is definitely more hands-on. However, you could hire a manager. A lot of businesses have enough money coming in to pay for a manager. It is a bit more risky. Okay. Real estate is very, very passive and generally very, very stable, right? And those things, those two facts about real estate cause the price to go up. And I'll tell you how in a second. Real estate is very passive because you can hire a management company, and even if it's the crappiest management company out there, they'll generally make sure the rents are paid, evict bad tenants. Even the crappiest company out there run by some bozos will just generally keep the money flowing in, keep the bills paid, keep the lights on, keep the building standing. It's also generally very stable. Real estate as an asset class is generally very stable. That's why a lot of people like it. Okay. So you could have, let's say, in my shul, there happens to be a lot of, let's say, wealthy people. You have, let's say, wealthy lawyers that have a few million extra sitting in their account. So they can go and invest in a property in, let's say, Texas or something, and have a management company there deal with it, and that's it, right? It's very hard to do that with a business. You're very unlikely going to have business people, rich guy in California go invest in the gas station in Texas. It's doable, it's possible, but it's unlikely.
Why?
Why? Because how would you manage it? How would you hire? You want to see with your eyes. You want to get a feel for it.
You're saying, yeah.
So therefore, real estate, there's much more buyers, right? And everything in life is supply versus demand. Therefore, all these factors make real estate very appealing for a lot of different type of people, out-of-state people, people that are retiring. So, for example, you have a lot of people that built up wealth through a career or through a business, actually, and they decide to retire. They're 60, they're 65, they're 70, they're done. They sell their business or they done their job, and then they need to invest that money. They get a payout. Maybe they get a few million, whatever it is. And they are done with working. They don't want to be bothered by business. They ran a pizza store their whole life. They ran a gas. Who knows what they ran the whole life? They've gone to work 9 to 5. They want to go to Florida, relax on the beach. Which investments can they choose already? They can do stocks. They can put their money in S&P 500, whatever. That's very, very passive, right? No toilets, no worries. Or they can put it into some real estate and have a management company. It's not going to work for them to have a pizza store or two, because then even with a manager, it still work. So there's a lot of competition for real estate. A lot of people want to buy in, and that causes the prices to go what, low or high? Let's test what you guys think. High. So let's talk about that. In investing, we talk about a multiple. So if a property makes 100,000 a year, how many times that do you have to pay? So in Los Angeles, and I can show you, but I don't know if we have so much time, real estate sells for a multiple of 15 to 20. What does that mean? That means if you have a building that's making 100 grand a year, that building might cost you $2 million, right? That means it could take you 15 to 20 years to get your money back, right? That means you're making 4 or 5% on your money. Not very high, right? Many buildings right now are selling in LA where if you put down $1 million cash, you'll make 4% back or 5% on your money. They're very safe, they're very stable, but a lot of people want to buy them. Therefore, you're only going to get 4 or 5%, right? So Heshi, what do you think? So if real estate sells for a multiple of 15 to 20 times earnings, what do you think a small business might do? You think maybe 10? What do you think?
Probably less, yeah.
Less. Okay. So a small business, let me just go to my next point over here. Why is it not going? A small business, this is what makes it interesting, sells for 2 to 4 times what it makes in a year. That means there are businesses that you can find right now on Biz Buy Sell that should actually say make your money back in 2 to 4 years. That, let's say they profit. You guys know what profit means, right? That means after all the expenses are paid, let's say they profit 200,000 a year. Nice little business profiting 200K. That business might only sell for 400K. That means you can make your money back in 2 years. Now that's at the low end. They might sell for 3 or 4 times that, and usually not much higher. So let's take a look. Let's see if I'm being honest over here. Let's see. Let's do convenience stores. Let's say like a 7-Eleven or something. Okay, let's see. I might be wrong, but I've been researching this for quite a bit. Let's see. Okay. So there are varying over here. Very rare opportunity for profitable convenience store in Custer County. Okay. So they want, how much they want for this business, Benjamin? Take a look.
349,000.
Good. Now, when it says cash flow, that's basically how much it profits. Okay. So the cash flow is 120,000.
Net profits?
Yeah. Now, how many years will it take me to make my money back? So what? So I do 340. Let's just do 350,000. Divide that by 120,000. 2.91, just under 3 years. That's pretty good. You are not going to find a real estate deal anywhere that even comes within a mile close to that. Anywhere. I don't care how bad, how this and that. No way, Jose, you're finding a real estate deal or a stock or a legit stock anywhere close to that. Stocks also sell for 15 to 20 times earnings. Let's take a look at another one. It's a gas station. Okay, let's take a look. This is very interesting. High volume liquor store for sale with low rent in San Alameda. 585,000 is the price. The cash flow is 275,000. And obviously, you have to do a lot of research to verify the numbers, and it gets complicated, whatever. So, but let's see. What I do is I take 585,000 and I divide it by 275,000. 2.12. Just slightly over 2 years to make your money back. Pretty damn good.
Yeah, but how do you know how many years that was cash flow? It could have been that the cash flow.
So good question. So that's why when you do research, when you're looking into a business, you will look at the accounting statements for at least 3 years, right? And you want to see consistency, right? If you see a business, the one year does 100 grand, one year does 200 grand, one year does 50 grand, bye-bye, right? But if you're researching a legit business, a gas station or a laundromat or even a food, even a restaurant or a convenience store, it should be pretty consistent. Yeah, maybe 1 year did 80 grand, next year did 100, and the third year did 100. I'd say fine. The average is going to be about 100. And that's 3 years. If you go back 5 years.
You can't say it's 2.5 years to get your money back. That was just the past year. They only made that much money.
No, that's what it's claiming the last year. But you're also going to go verify last 3 to up to 5 years if they have, right? And you're going to verify. You'll average it out, and again, you don't want to buy any business that's up and down, erratic. 1 year does 200, 300. It shouldn't vary. Now, if it's growing, that's another story. But you want consistent. You don't want it to be 80 grand a year. Let's take a look at some laundromats. So laundromats aren't quite as low of a multiple. You know what? I have a better idea. Let's look at should we do HVAC or electrical? Let's do electrical. Okay. We're doing a little bit of a class, so for another, it's a class, business class, for another 5 minutes. Okay. So this is a cloud phone systems and low voltage electrical contractor, right? Well, 410,000 is the cash flow. I'm not necessarily believing this. I'm just saying this is what they're claiming, and the price is 960. If you're good at math, you see that's about two times earnings. Right? Let's see what else. This is 70,000 and they want 190. So 714, that's like 2.5. Here, commercial electrical company with recurring revenue in Orange County.
It's gonna take at least 5 years, no?
No, it's been around for 40 years. So this company does electrical and lighting, maintenance, repairs, installation, consulting, and design, and manufacturing. Wow, that's a lot. So this is, yeah. So they're claiming a cash flow of 422. That means less than 4 times earnings they're selling the business for. So why is this the case? Some reasons that this is the case, that they're a lot cheaper, as you can see. End of slide? How's that possible? Okay, I guess that is. I made it not too long ago, to be honest. So let's write down some points. First of all, a lot less competition. Let's do why. There's much less competition. First of all, every guy and his dog has heard about buying real estate, right? Second of all, whereas with buying a business, a lot less people have heard about it. It's even though it makes sense once you start to learn about it, much less people hear about it. It's just less people wanting to do it for various reasons. Number one, as I said, a lot less people know about it. It's a more not well known way of going about things. I mean, if you want to buy real estate, you can call up 5 people, your friends, who especially if you're older, who probably bought real estate before. Whereas buying a business, very people know someone who's done it. You have to do a lot of work on your own, and it takes a lot of determination. So the fact is that you may have 10 people that log on to BizBuySell, only 1 or 2 of them ends up actually buying your business. Second of all, now there's a lot more businesses for sale because have you heard of baby boomers? That means older people between 60 in the late 50s, 60s that are retiring. So they're selling off their businesses. They want to retire. They've built up their business their whole life and they want to sell it. So there's a lot of supply of businesses, and there's just not as many people that want to take them over for various reasons. Let's face it, most people today want to have a cool, snazzy job, want to work in finance or accounting or whatever it is. They want to be a TikToker. They want to have a podcast. Not many people grow up and say, my goal, my ambition is to own a laundromat. Let's face it. Yeah, am I right or am I wrong? But for all you know, the guy in a laundromat could own 3 laundromats and making $500,000 a year and not working that hard. What? I have. Yep. That's money laundering. I do not, on the record, I do not advocate for money laundering.
By the way, when the guy sells a business and you want to verify the capital, you check.
So you do it with an accountant and you do it yourself. Yes, you check the statements, you check the tax return, you check, and you can also do a bit of, you want to buy a gas station, go sit on your car, count how many cars came. 20 cars came, average car takes 15 gallons. The guy makes 5 cents profit per gallon. Do the math. The math can't lie. No one's faking 10 cars in a random hour at you at a gas station. Right? You do a bit of that. Pop by the store once in a while, discreetly. Just see if things add up. That's why, by the way, it's hard to do it out of state. Very hard. No one's flying out to Texas and California to buy a gas station because it's very hard to verify. Whereas plenty of people do what's called out-of-state real estate investing. So the bottom line is there's just a lot less people buying these in the market to buy these little companies. And there's a lot of people selling them. A lot of retiring people are selling them. I probably should have done a slide on why are people selling them. Again, there's a lot of people retiring. For sure. A lot of people are retiring. One of them is inconsistent earnings. We talked about that. The number one thing that can prove a business's viability is literally customers. Like, show me the money. Like, it's one thing people say, I'm going to make a new flavor of this, and people do it on a server. If you want to test a business idea, I promise you the best advice you'll ever get. You want to test a flavor of falafel, you want to test a new see if people will buy it. And a business that's been around for 5 years has proven beyond doubt that people are willing to pay for their stuff. There's no better proof of that ever. And people have already, paid for their stuff.
Been done before.
Yeah, and you're not reinventing the wheel with your laundromat. Yeah.
When people are selling a business, do they leave a big place to sell? And that's for you to do?
So it depends. The business might come in with a manager included already if the business is big enough, and you may just literally be like a hands-off investment type of thing, or you might have to be the manager, but it will depend on the case. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right? So you could have a very small electrical company that it was you and 2 guys under you. That's it. Right? Yeah, you're going to be involved day to day. What if you're buying an electrical company that has 20 employees, which means you have a secretary, a general manager, a customer service, and you have 10 guys that go out in vans. You might just be the one not doing a whole lot, so to speak. You might just be the one doing the strategy, okay, it's time. I hope you guys enjoyed. Seems like you guys were pretty engaged. If you have any questions, I will answer them now after I end this. We will do this for at least another 1 or 2 sessions. We'll get a bit more dive into it, a bit like the process, and hopefully it'll be very good and you guys will enjoy. So it's just to make you aware of another way of going about in life. It doesn't have to be straight away. In fact, I wouldn't recommend it till straight away for various reasons, because you do need capital, you need loans, not so easy to get approved, but just something to keep with you when you go about your life. You might be sitting there at 30 years old saying, how do I make more money? And you might remember a class you took at Jets, and it might just get your, just to get you thinking. This might not be for everyone. And yeah, we'll continue. We'll see you next week. And if anyone has any questions, I'm going to stop the share. I'll include it for the questions. Why not? Any of you have? I'll do him first. Yeah.
What do I need to know before I buy a business? Like, what do I
Start
need
with
to know
those 3
about
books.
And
So start with those books. That'll tell you everything. You need to know about your personality. You need to know your capabilities. No, I listed 3. I'll show you again. You would need to know, say, what do you mean? Like to buy it, like
Yeah, to buy it.
partnership?
Let's say
It's
it's
better, in
like-
my opinion, it's better to do it yourself unless there's a very strong reason to do it with someone and each party is bringing something to the table. Very often partnerships go bad.
600K cash, no.
Right, so next lesson, we'll talk about loans. You could easily buy something with 600K. Yes, so there's something called the government SBA, which we'll talk about. They can loan up to 80 to 90% of the purchase price, right? So that's why, and it's better to do it yourself. A $600,000 business is not worth it for two people to go into. What's that?
How much interest?
They charge the interest. It's like 10% right now, but if you buy a business at 3 times earnings, you'll be able to pay the interest easily. I can show you spreadsheets, right? So a business that's only making 600, well, if it's profiting 600,000 or the revenue is 600,000, right?
No, let's say it's property. Say it costs 1.8.
Right. So the problem is, out of that 400K, you might have to pay 200,000 a year for the loan, right? That means, yeah, 2 people could buy it and make 100K each, but it's probably more worth it to buy just to buy yourself. Now, if it's a business that's making $1 million a year, that might be a different story, but partnerships can be very risky. Partnerships can often go bad. So
I feel like it's gonna be more and more of a.
So they will check your credit. You will want to have ideally some work history.
So wouldn't it be more to give you loans since it's already a business?
For sure, that's why they do it. It's very, very hard to get a loan for starting up a business, almost
Right.
impossible. And there's millions of loans that go to startups. What does that tell you about buying a business versus starting one, right?
More risky to start a business than buy one.
Yeah, therefore no one wants to lend, right? So the business has to have good financials, has to be able to pay back, has to be consistent. And that's what they mainly check for the SBA loan. And they also check your credit. Ideally, you file taxes the last few years. Therefore, it's not so easy to do this at 20 years old. If I wouldn't actually recommend it.
That's when you're old, it's not that easy.
I wouldn't recommend it. I would recommend working for a few years, getting your credit to be excellent. Save up some money. You're gonna need a down payment of at least 10 to 20%. Save up that down payment. Make sure your personality is, can you manage a business? You don't want to buy something and sign your name and you have a problem where you can't get out of bed 3 days of the week till 1 o'clock. Yeah, I'm just saying in theory, you want to make sure you are capable of running a business, you can lead others. So the business has to fit you, your knowledge, and the personality wise, you have to be able to run a small business. Okay, good.